Hello, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency, devoted to promoting musicians and authors worldwide. Call us today at 941-877-1552 to start your free publicity evaluation. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Please welcome the host of Interviewing the Legends, music journalist, author, and entrepreneur, Ray Shasho.
Hello once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends on BBS Radio TV, brought to you by the Rockstar Chronicles Series 1, my new book featuring over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest music legends the world will ever know, available now at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. Robert Berry has managed to survive in the treacherous minefield that is the music business and flourished as a performer, songwriter, and producer. It seems he's done it all. While he may be best known as the vocalist bass player in the ELP spinoff 3 with Keith Emerson and Carl Palmer, Berry's impressive list of credits include a stint fronting Ambrosia and long-running affiliations with Alliance, December People, and the Greg Kihn Band. Berry has released 5 solo albums, contributed to a number of high-profile tribute albums, and has an impressive track record in the studio. Robert has just released on Frontier Records his new album of new music entitled Third Impression under the name 3.2 Third Impression, featuring the last track entitled Never that Berry and his friend and mentor, Keith Emerson, worked on together before Emerson's tragic passing. Please welcome Grammy-nominated recording artist, songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist, Robert Berry, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Robert. Oh, can't hear you. Oh boy, here we go.
I think we're okay.
Okay,
Are you?
Got you.
Yeah, I was saying, I think we're out of time after that introduction.
That's
How are
it.
you, Ray?
Real good, man.
Very
This
good.
is our second time together. The last time we reviewed the last album, which was
That's right.
a 5-star album, of course. And of course,
Well,
this is 5 stars. I love it.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, the rules that changed was the last one a couple of years ago. And you know that in the middle of it, we lost Keith Emerson, and that was tragic for the whole world, and especially tragic for me being in the middle of an album with him and sort of a 27-year later dream come true to do a second 3 album. So, which is the reason we called the band 3.2, because it's sort of the second version of 3. It did so well, as you said, that they asked me, Frontier said, you need to do another album. I said, I don't want to do another one. Keith's gone. I mean, this is done. They said, well, don't you have any more songs? And I had one, which is on the album Never. But to make a long story shorter, I said, you know, it's just sort of my little trophy, my memento. And well, it's really, they said it like this. We have Whitesnake, we have Journey, we have Yes, we have everybody on our label. Your last album did really well. We can't tell you what they sold, but you did really well. You need to do a follow-up.
Right.
So I thought, well, I've never heard that from a record company quite like that. That was nice. I said, you know what? If I can write 7 or 8 songs that I think Keith would have said, oh, those are good. Let's see what I could do with them. And if I could get there within my own self, I'll finish up Never, the 9-minute tune that was left over from the previous workings. And I'll see what we have. But I don't really think I'll be doing a third 3 album. It wound up where, because it's just in my DNA, and I spent time with Keith writing, touring, everything, and I'm a keyboard player besides. It was like a piano lesson every day I was with him, that these songs came out, And I sent it to my manager on the record company, and they said, this is really good, we should put it out. So there's the story of why there's a third 3 album, or a second 3.2 album, if you want to look at it that way. And why I get to talk to you again, or else you'd be saying, oh, that Barry guy's calling me. Don't answer the phone.
Well, you got enough on your resume besides this album, so I would have called you anyway.
But this is the important part of my life as a musician. Let me explain it this way. When Keith Emerson said, you want to be in the band, or I want to, start a band with you, I didn't realize what that would do for my whole life in music. But at one point, I had to fill in on keyboards for a band called the Tubes. You probably know who the Tubes are.
Oh, yeah.
White punks on dope. I mean,
yeah.
Crazy hard music, really complicated. And I had 3 days to do it, because their keyboard players in my December People band, and he was really sick, and he couldn't do this show in New York. I'm in California. I had 3 days to learn the whole set. And Roger Steen, who's a friend of mine now, but didn't know me from Adam then, said, well, I got to get together and rehearse. I'm the musical director. And I said, if I rehearse, I only have 3 days to learn it and all the parts, and I have to do the high vocals. I said, if you tell me anything, I'm going to lose it all. He goes, well, I'm the musical director. I usually have more control of who plays with us. I said, Roger, I played with Keith Emerson. It was difficult and it went great. He goes, okay. I mean, just to show you a whole nother level of what that time did for my life, stamp of approval, I guess I'd say.
Exactly. Yeah, I loved Keith, man. He was on the show, and we had a great conversation. We talked about the spinning piano. Yeah. He was a good guy. I was shocked. I was like you. I'm really shocked, man, when that happened.
It was, well, you got to figure too that we were working on a follow-up album, and Frontiers had offered us really good money, a year to do it, complete artistic control, everything that made Keith happy. So this was his happy place.
Right.
And doing music. And I knew he had some issues that he was dealing with.
Right.
And he wasn't happy about some shows he had to do, and he said the live voltage, whatever thing in England just went okay, but never really a despondent kind of thing. But then again, a little bit probably about people that commit suicide. You can't see in that hole they're in, and they can't see out of that hole they're in. So, yeah.
Actually, my best friend committed suicide, and sometimes you don't see it come. You just don't see it come. It's very hard to prevent. Did Keith have any issues with his hands or anything?
That's what people like to think. Oh, he couldn't play, so he offed himself. That wasn't it at all. I mean, there's actually video from a week before this all went down, where he's talking about the Japanese show he had to do, and he's playing a little. Sure, I mean, it hurts, but hey, some of us, when we walk, it hurts, so he could still play. The right hand wasn't as good. There were so many things, the home issues and health issues. He had impending heart conditions, things that I think just added up. And the criticism that happened during that last show in England really bugged him, because he was susceptible. That's what broke up Three originally. 2 guys writing letters that criticized him. And that really bothered him, I can't go too much into it, but there were so many circumstances that nobody knew about, that were things that you just wouldn't imagine that was going on, anyway.
Yeah. It's a shame that the critics really bother these legendary artists, because some of them are just pure idiots, man. There's a lot of guys in Rolling Stone that really hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Keith was here in California with his career. And, in the United States, we're flavor of the month or flavor of the week, right? We're not into royalty kind of like they are in Europe. Keith would have moved back to Europe.
Exactly.
And I think his career would have soared. He would have got the right kind of reception, the right kind of support, everything. We're tough here. We're used to having to look at the flavor of the week and go, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to my guns. We're just that way. But I don't know. It just wasn't right for him. And he did some things, but nothing really great. And then the rules that changed, we're working on it. It comes out and he's gone. And welcomed with open arms, and people are going, "Oh my God, look at, he could still write stuff, and he could still play, even though I had to replace his parts. I didn't make up those parts; he did." Right?
Yeah.
I'm just capable of Xerox copying, we'll call it, or taking a photograph. And I have the Moog. We talked about all this stuff before, but
yeah.
yeah.
He was a genius, man. You know, I had Carl Palmer on the show. I had Greg Lake on the show, and funny. Yeah, it was funny to hear Greg banter about the other guys in the band.
Yeah. Greg was a little more open about it, but I got to tell you, Carl and Keith, we were on tour, especially in '88.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video out where they say, "So Keith, what's Greg doing?" He said, "I think the last time I saw him, they were using him to swab out some tunnel." I mean, it was just awful stuff, right? And I only met Greg once. They kept me from him. Even when ELP reunion tours, I'd go to see it, call me, "Come on, we're playing here." I come and say, "Let me meet Greg." When I finally met him, he was a lovely guy. He was a talented guy. Even back in '88, when the criticism was about Keith doing songs like Carl did in Asia, nobody criticized Carl for 3, but they criticized Keith. All they said to me was, "We want Greg Lake back. Let's get ELP together." And I was like, I get it. I'm a Greg Lake fan.
Sure.
I get it. Didn't bother me a bit.
I think it was Keith. He told me, I told him I had Greg on the show, and he said, "Oh yeah, how's that fat bastard doing?" And Greg wouldn't appear on the show on Skype. We just did an audio thing. He said, "Yeah, you don't want to see me."
Well, he had some issues that put on a lot of weight. When I finally got to meet him, Greg and Keith were doing their duo show with using a drum machine, for Carl.
Really?
And I thought, oh, this is going to be bad. And after about 2 songs, look, Keith was the sound of ELP. Keith was the sound of 3. Greg was the voice. I was the voice of 3. He was the voice of ELP. Not to take anything away from Carl, because my God, he's playing better than ever, and he's still doing it. Even at, he's not that old, but even at the age, drummers, it's harder physically. But they still had all the main ingredients. And when I met Greg, I said, "Wow," I was blown away that without a drummer, even Cozy or anybody, that this really worked for me. And he shook my hand. He goes, "Good to meet you, mate." And his hand was twice as big as mine because he had gained so much weight. His hand was huge, but he was really gracious and really nice. And him and Keith were getting along just fine at that point. Carl and Keith, not so much, but.
Well, it's a family, so it's
That's right.
Relationship.
Yeah.
The thing about this album, you wanted to form a more melodic, song-oriented band, and it comes through 100%. It's not the heavy prog, like right. An ELP. It's actually something it can go down in history as a classic rock, great album. Well,
I appreciate that.
It's a great album, and your voice is incredible.
Well, I thank you for that. I have to give Keith some credit for way back in 1988 for wanting a little bit of that success that Carl had with Asia. That's the only reason that it got started.
Right.
And he put his whole self into it. And like I said, he was the sound of 3. People say, "Well, how could you do these albums?" Even with Keith gone, I mean, half of Third Impression, the new one, is supposed to be under the guidelines of what Keith and I have decided that 3.2 was going to be, a 3 that continued. But back in '88, Keith was the sound and half the writer. I was the voice and half the writer. So we still had all those pieces of 3 that we brought forward, except for the drum beat, And on this one, I did make one conscious effort, though, to move it toward more what I'm going to have to do on my own. I can't do the 3 sound on my own. It belongs to Keith and I,
right.
And I said, I need to do more guitar, because my thing is more like, it wasn't like GTR Asia, half guitar, half keyboards. That's really more of my personal thing.
Right.
And now that Keith's gone, it's going to head that way. So I took a chance even on the first song of this album, Top of the World. It starts with about a minute of acoustic guitar, like Celtic guitar, right? I thought, if people are going to go with me to the next phase, the fans, the people like the music I do, I'm going to make them either love sitting through this guitar thing or suffer through it, thinking they're going to get to some more 3 stuff, right? Which they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I pleasantly surprised by the response to people. It's been truly welcome with open arms again. I mean, like I said, you wouldn't have taken my call. You would have hung up. No, not Barry.
You got a lot of great reviews, man, on Amazon, YouTube. It's incredible, on this album.
Yeah.
A lot of artists, a lot of legendary artists, they put out a new album. They don't get that much response right away. And you did.
Yeah, I was worried. Let me tell you, right? That the day before, I got the writing done, got the songs done. I finished Never. I went, oh my God, I didn't realize what a big piece and a great piece of music this was, because I had too many songs and the rule had changed. I didn't need to do one more. So I just sort of left it behind. But it was done. I'm like, wow. And then Nick, my manager in England, and Frontier said, this album's really good. It's just great. I'm okay, let's do it. I'm all excited then. Everybody's, my little circle's liking it. Then there's the day before the album's released. I'm like, oh man, the rules that changed was a special time in everybody's life with Keith, special time, especially in mine. The lyrics, they show that, they reveal feelings I didn't even know were going on in me. And then the reviews on Billboard charts, and it was so good. Oh my God, the day before this, I'm ruining that. I'm ruining the legacy of the 3 that I ended the right way with 3.2. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt the day before it came out.
Did you really?
The day after it came out, I'm like, well, it looks like it's happening again. People are not saying, oh, he's trying to trade on the 3 name or blah, blah, blah. There was the negativity wasn't there.
Nope.
And funny enough, the Arc of Life came out the same day. So I'm looking for reviews, and I'm seeing theirs and going, oh, those poor guys. And I'm seeing mine. I'm thinking, God, I hope, Dave's a friend of mine, and I don't know Billy really well, but some of those guys, I'm thinking, oh man, I hope I don't talk to him next couple of weeks, because it really, again, Third Impression was open arms, and they could tell how much I cared about it. I think that's what people really get when they listen to it. I really, really care, and I want this to be 3 albums for the band 3. That's why I'm pressing a vinyl on the 3rd one too. I did the rules have changed. I can't. I'll tell you what. Here, let me grab my notes. Okay, I got my notes. Here's my notes. We have the 12-inch of the first one, of course, because vinyl was still happening. All my watch is saying, "Did you fall again?" Because I'm bouncing around. Okay. And I got the rights back on the rules had changed because Frontiers wasn't going to do a vinyl, and it was important to me to have one. So I did that. I had the 2. Wasn't going to do a 3rd album. Now they put it out, and it just doesn't look right, does it? I need a vinyl. I want to put them on my wall. I'm proud. They're trophies of my best part of my life. So I got the rights back to do that too.
Good.
Only doing 200 of them. It's going to be really scarce, because I also feel like
only 200.
I want it to be scarce, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know what this album did? ELP had a following for years and years and years. They still do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there are some people that don't, understand that heavy prog and the heavy organ and everything else. What you brought in some new listeners to listen to Keith Emerson's music and Carl Palmer's music in a different way, and I respect that because I love it. I think it's great. Rick Wakeman's latest album's kind of like that too. He didn't go all out and do the Journey thing and whatever, but totally a little bit more mainstream, I guess, a little bit more mainstream in our lives, not today's mainstream. Yeah,
it's funny you say that too, because in the time in 1988 where the 3 to the power of 3 came out, Yes was a Big Generator, Own of a Lonely Heart. They had some songs that were actually poppier than 3. They were pretty poppy. Genesis definitely pop. The bands that withstood that end of the sort of era before the grunge hit the 90s were doing stuff. Right. And they were all accepted. The only guy who wasn't accepted doing that was Keith Emerson.
Yeah.
What? That's not fair. So
Right.
now I actually am trying to take the more Asia kind of music, even that Yes did, and I'm
Exactly.
trying to add some of that, the Emerson solos and the keyboard stuff and the prog back into it, where it's a little more demanding
Right.
in around the song.
Yep.
And that's just kind of what I love. So I've always been a big Asia fan. Steve Howe, I got to work with, big Steve Howe fan, big Emerson, huge Wakeman fan. I mean, Wakeman was my guy, actually. I couldn't play the Keith stuff. It's too hard.
I had Wakeman on my show recently. He's a funny guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I've only met him a couple times. We had the same manager in England, and he was really a lovely guy.
Mm-hmm.
Unpretentious. I mean, like Keith. You'd think Keith would have been kind of, you're talking about ELP being criticized. They were criticized for being pompous. That's what the people couldn't get across. They were yeah. And Wakeman never had any of that I saw. Never pompous.
Yeah. I want to talk about the new album and some of the tracks that I fell in love with. First of all, Top of the World. I heard a little Zeppelin in there. Am I right?
Well, yeah, that's my drum thing, and it is definitely John Bonham, with Carl Palmer put into it. I like that really solid beat. Also, just as a side note, when Sammy Hagar tours now with the Circle, Jason Bonham's his drummer. Mm-hmm. I do the keyboard tracks for Sammy for his live show. When the keyboards for the Van Halen stuff come out, that's me playing the keyboards, digitally recorded. Jason puts a headphone on and here's the click, so he can play with it. But I put his dad's count off on there. So he's hearing his dad going 1, 2, 3 on every song when you hear that. And so the Bonhams are a big part of my personal life and what I love about drumming. Mm-hmm. So there's some of that heavy stuff. I do that with my band Alliance too. I get fairly heavy with the drum stuff. Definitely. Yeah, and I was a big Robert Plant fan, so I thought, I'm going to stretch out on this. I'm going to do a little Waylon.
Do you play guitar on these tracks?
Yeah, well, here's the other thing, that it's all me, because Frontiers wanted a 3 album. They were fine with Keith and I doing it. They were fine if Keith and I wanted to use Simon Phillips. Then when Keith was gone, they said, look, we don't want, like Yes has done, adding a bunch of people. We don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
We've always wanted a 3 album.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm capable of doing the stuff, and we have, Keith and I had a lot of already recorded. So I said, let me finish it up this was on the Rules of Change and see what you think. I don't do it to play all the instruments on an album. I don't even care if that's mentioned. I don't want it mentioned because I want it to be accepted as music. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm capable. Well, what I'm doing today, my client, I've taken a break to talk to you with the client. It's a Christian rock thing. Right. The bass player is from the band Count 5 in the 60s, had a song called Psychotic Reaction.
Yeah.
So fairly well-known guys. He's in here today. Yeah. I'm doing drums and keyboards for him. If Roy didn't play bass, I'd be doing the bass. It's what I do when people come in. I'm the utility guy. Yeah. Whatever they need done in my studio when they're here, you know what? We need a Hammond B3 part. Okay, pull it out. Hey, we don't like our drummer. When we come in, can you do the drum? I do the drums for him. Yeah. And that's 30 years of doing that at Soundtech here. So I use my skills every day, basically. I get to practice on other people every day.
Sure. Well, tell the Count 5 guy he can come on my show anytime he wants. I love the band.
And, well, when they get the album done, that would be really something. Yeah, they'd love that.
I did a lot of Christian rock guys here on the show too, so
and it's a new one. It's a new thing for Roy Cheney's his name, great guy. Again, become a friend of mine, like Roger Steen from the Tubes. Roger Steen was in yesterday. Mm-hmm. I did a drum track for him and a bass track and a keyboard track. And he plays guitar and some keyboards. And then he sings, of course, and writes his own songs. I'm his utility guy, and I couldn't have a better life in music. And again, Keith Emerson gave me the stamp of approval where people walk in, they go, oh, well, this guy, he's going to be able to do it.
Your studio looks awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I'll show you a little bit. This is the Neve console. I have a Neve console here. The old 2-inch is still in the corner. 2-inch and the quarter-inch tape machines.
Right.
You'll see, I think you can see all this. You see the Moog up there.
Yep.
Kurzweil chord. Over here is Pro Tools. This is I'll just swing this around. I hope I don't make you dizzy and you throw up.
Oh, wow. That's
the
huge.
Pro Tools is here. You know, the Korg Oasis, which Keith helped me get, is there. You might, you know, I got this phone hooked to this stand so I don't have to hold it. Let me take this out here. This here, these are guitars and basses I use every day. Right. In this room here. I don't know if you can see them at the light.
Fantastic.
But there's kind of one of each that all, you know, L5. I have a Jimmy Page 6 and 12 string Gibson there. Yep. All the acoustics. I'm going to show you one thing that people haven't seen that I just did recently. I've been looking for about 15, 20 years. I didn't realize when I was working with Keith and Carl that the stuff we were playing that I thought was ELP was actually started by the Nice, Rondo America. Right. The Nice is really the band that put classic music into rock and roll. Sure. They should be in the Hall of Fame. Well, this is the exact kind of bass that Lee Jackson played, a Vox. It's the same color. My dad had the Vox store when I was little in San Jose, California here. I had never seen that bass. And all of a sudden one came up, I'm too close to the camera. One came up on eBay. I've been looking for it. I wanted to add that to my collection through Aaron Emerson. I've never met Lee, but he asked Lee if I could send it to him if he'd sign it. So Lee Jackson's going to be signing that bass. Just part of the family that raised me, you know.
Unbelievable.
So I mean, this like a museum down here. There's all kinds of 3-4 drum sets, Vox amps, Marshalls, all kinds of stuff, you know, that that's a whole nother show. Maybe we'll talk a different time about the museum here.
Now, is this in your house or is this a separate building? Or
no, this is the building. I'm in a little city called Campbell. Okay. You know, I'm in Silicon Valley, which is San Jose, California. If I sort of point, this is quick, easier. If I go south 1 mile that way, it's Netflix, where it started. They have 3 campuses. If I go 1 mile northeast, is eBay, where eBay started. You know, if I go 2 miles north, is that Big Apple. If you ever seen the Big Apple complex, they built the big circle. Sure. And it's almost all out of glass. I have some friends that work there and they said everybody was breaking their nose and stuff because they'd walk into the glass because it's so clear. But that's 2 miles to the north and everything else that Facebook and everything else that started here. I'm right in the middle of it in this little town where some of the sidewalks are still dirt. Some of the streets, you know, are sort of incorporated, but it's about 5 blocks long, right in the middle of Silicon Valley. It's fantastic.
I would never leave. It's perfect.
No, well, if you're raised here, you can stay. If you want to move here, forget it. I mean, a little house is $1.2 million, a little tiny, nothing, you know.
Yeah. This is a booming area where I'm at. I'm in Sarasota, Florida.
You're where Rozfest is going to leave out of. Is that right? Where they're going to have it? I think. Or is that where the Cruise of the Edge is going to be leaving out of?
Cruise of the Edge, probably.
Okay.
Lauderdale, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. We got Rick Derringer lives close to me. Brian Johnson of AC/DC. We got a lot of guys. Yeah.
Fantastic.
A lot of guys that live down here. The weather's awesome. Well,
you know, I quote Florida all the time because California shut down and Florida shut down for just a little bit, and our numbers are the same. Actually, Florida's are better.
Yeah.
So what does that tell everybody? That's
nothing's closed here. Nothing is closed. No curfew.
And
you know.
And you guys are doing okay. And it's
good. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of the hornet's nest here, so I don't want to say too much, but we're going to open up in June now. So our governor is being recalled and there's going to be a vote on him. So he's trying to play nice. So he's going to start opening up things and letting people make a living. You know, it's been rough.
Hey, what's horrible? I just talked to Frank Marino. Remember him from Mahogany?
Yes. Oh yeah.
He's in Montreal and things are horrible there. He's thinking about moving to the United States, even Florida, but they have a curfew. They still have a curfew, and if you're out, they'll fine you $6,000. I mean, it's crazy. Canada's not like what it used to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I talked to Ian Crichton of Saga, the guitar player, quite a bit, and I'm going to ask him about that because he kind of lives not as a hermit, but he doesn't do a whole lot of things. He's always working the band and recording, doing the stuff. So he's not out and about a lot, but I'll ask him about that. I'm surprised. That's too bad.
It is too bad. Well, Top of the World should be a James Bond theme.
That's
Sounds like a soundtrack, It really does. Some of the other tunes I love. Okay, Black of Night is kind of very Keith Emerson,
Yes.
Killer of Hope sounds a little bit like Kansas.
Huh.
Picked up a little Kansas from that, that's where the more mainstream comes out, I guess, the Asia thing.
Sure.
Yeah, and I love it, man. I love it.
Cool.
Missing Piece. Again, that's you playing guitar. It's an epic track, and you play great guitar. I didn't realize you played such great guitar work. You're hiding that.
I don't play great guitar, but you see, I have great guitars. You just saw them. That's all it takes. You just have to own them.
I admire you being a multi-instrumentalist the way you are. That's not easy. I don't think that's easy.
I was always a huge Jeff Beck fan.
Yep.
And I feel like Jeff Beck doesn't know how to play guitar. He's just part of the guitar because I don't know how he does what he does. Right? Amazing guy. And that isn't something people identify in my playing, but me, I always feel like a musician has a certain look and vibe when he plays. Like a drummer looks like what they're playing. If they're a good drummer, they hit it and their head moves and everything.
Right.
And I get into character for the instruments I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And even though if I'm just here in the control room or something, I see myself tall and thin like Jeff Beck.
Cool. A Bond of Union is a beautiful tune. Everybody seems to love that song.
The video, the guy that Bernie did up in the Austrian Hills there, he did that lyric video. And for a lyric video, he added the human touch to that. And he had like the world spinning and there's a wolf pack. It's about, I wrote it for my mom when she died, but I wanted to make it where everybody could find their family in that song. Beautiful. And when he sent me that, I had the wolf pack walking. I went, oh my God, this guy nailed the feel of that song. Really
fantastic. You got a lot of compliments on that song, man.
Yeah,
a lot of compliments. Emotional Trigger. Who's playing that? Is that you or is
that's me? That's the one song that wasn't written. Once Keith and I got back together, I had written that 10 years before and sent it to Keith because I was always trying to do something. We did a bunch of things together.
Right.
And he called me, he goes, whoa, I love that. He goes, that's really good, but you don't want me playing on there. He goes, that piano's perfect. He goes, I just messed it up, making it more busy. And your voice with no vibrato. Oh, you should do a whole album like this.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I wanted to do that with him. So he didn't want to do it. So I set it aside. I wasn't going to, I wear enough hats, let's say, I got my harder rock thing, got my progressive thing. And then all the clients I do Mexican music for some clients, mariachi stuff even. I know how to do it, And then I thought, well, since he was gone this last album, I'm going to pull that song back out.
Yeah.
And, to update it a little bit with the singing. And it was really different. And I was taking another chance on that because it's another piece that Keith loved Oscar Peterson. I like Oscar Peterson. My mom and dad had a big band, so it wasn't far from that cocktail jazz or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it was risky, and not a lot of people have said much about it. The people that like it, but other people, no one said they don't like it. So that's been the good news, I guess.
I'm a big jazz fan also, and you nailed it. I loved it. I love to hear that kind of music nowadays because jazz is, where is it today? You got to really find it.
And it's American, right? One of the few blues and jazz, the real American thing. We own that. I had 8 years of classical piano and 2 years of jazz piano lessons, so 10 years altogether. I took a lot of lessons. Plus, I majored in music in college. So, some of that it's swirling around inside of me from really when I was a baby and my parents had the big band.
Yeah.
It's just part of who I am.
Yeah. I was a big Sinatra fan, and he had a great band behind him, man.
Oh my God, the best, right? For the day, yeah.
Yeah, I got to see him 5 times in concert.
Wow.
Vegas, Atlantic City, had front row seats, and the guy was incredible.
That's amazing.
Another guy I miss is Frank. He was cool. Fond Farewell, kind of sounded like Asia on that tune. I picked
it was picked from the record company as the first single.
Really?
Because I never know, and you need to see the video on that. Mm-hmm. They did. They asked me, "We need a video." I said, "Okay." I'm really lousy at video concepts, you know. I always try to think, "Well, I have to make this fit in the budget, so let's dumb it down." Right. And I had an idea. I told them the idea. They said, "We hate that idea. Do you mind if we try something?" And I thought, "Oh yeah, well, go right ahead. I want out of that video thing." They did a video, a sci-fi video, basically Fond Farewell's Last Man on Earth. Mm-hmm. And you have to see it. It is so well done. I haven't seen videos like this since MTV did things right.
Right.
And people are seeing her going, wow, because it's sci-fi too, which makes it kind of cool. And I have to give all the credit to Frontiers, Serafino, Mario, the guy there, whoever they got to direct this thing. And here's this happy-go-lucky Italian guy who thinks it's me, but it's just another guy, you know, waltzing through this destruction and different things that he sees as the last man on Earth, basically. Was this
the NASA video?
Yes.
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah. That was cool.
I couldn't believe they did such a good job. They put me to shame with my idea, I tell you that.
Yeah, I thought it was, at first I thought it might be a trailer to a sci-fi movie or something. Yeah.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
And
very cool.
It was the first single and the first video. And I think it launched the thing the right way. You know, they always wanted me to do an Asia album. Frontiers, do an album like Asia. I said, I just have to do me. Yeah. Me is three. Me is Keith and Carl and myself. That's kind of the vibe of what. I mean, I was half the songwriter and the voice of three. It wasn't like I was faking it, like I wanted to be ELP meets Asia. I brought those songs in before three was together. I had written them.
Right.
Except for maybe Lover to Lover. That was one that I didn't have. But anyway, I can gab. You know that. You remember from last time.
Never. Awesome intro. I hear Kansas and Foreigner in there, which brings that more mainstream. I mean, the album's I give it 5 stars. We're all about 5 stars, but it's 5+.
Wow.
I can do 5+, I will. I love the album.
Wow. Thank you.
Album. And is it available everywhere now, or is it? Can you?
It's
Amazon, right?
Yeah, and I'm a lousy salesman. I mean, I don't say I'm pressing a vinyl because I want to make money because I sell for $25. I mean, they're on my website, but I could put it with the distributor. I could do this. They'd sell vinyls for 45 usually or something, right? But on my website is all the links to every format there is. And, the t-shirts, vinyl, all that stuff's on there. I'm just not much. I don't do music for the monetary part of it.
Right.
I have to make some money at it to keep going.
Yeah.
But it's just too much a part of who I am. And look, I was on stage before I was born with my mom singing in my dad's big band, right? Until she was 8 months pregnant, nobody knew. She was a little lady. I was a little baby, and I can't help it. It's just what I love, what I do, and all I do, and then my web guy puts it all on the website. So he's responsible for all that.
Sure. Do you know Billy Sherwood?
I don't know him really. I met him a couple times, but I'd say no, I don't know him.
Because his dad was a big band guy too. Famous big band guy, and his godfather was Milton Berle.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Is he Billy has a better memory than me. That's how he can be in bands like Yes and stuff. I could never do that and be, I don't mean as a tribute band, but you have to play. If I'm going to be in a band that has Chris Squire in it, I'm going to damn well play his parts. That would be really hard for me to remember. So Billy has a memory like a steel trap, I think, because he's, man, I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. I had Greg Kihn on the show. We hit it off really well. He's from Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore originally. Hell of a nice guy. What's going on with the Greg Kihn Band lately?
And that's another facet of what I do. And it's the simple 3-chord thing. It's almost like my day off working with Greg, because he's so much fun. You know, we're both prolific. He's in every week for 4 hours. That day bounces around and we write something. He's in Friday of this week. And we just get together and write songs, and he and I do demos on them. And when we get 12 that we think are a good album, we put out another album. We only have 5 or 6 right now, although we have 20 songs, but we have 5 or 6 because that has to be a Greg Kihn album. It has to be that jangly garage rock, maybe the niche that Tom Petty left behind now. That it got to be something that fits Greg's style. Right. And that's sort of my part of it as the producer of the music, to make sure it is a Greg Kihn album. So we have a good time. As you said, he's easy to talk to. He's a lot of fun. And we write and we eat.
How about Alliance? What's happening with Alliance?
And you know this, that before I moved to England to work with Keith and Carl, Sammy went to Van Halen, and Geffen tried to put me with his band. Yeah, I mean, to sort of replace Sammy Hagar, but not be a Sammy Hagar. I mean, no, who could be Sammy Hagar? Dynamo. But I was already leaving, so I had to tell them I couldn't do it. Came back 3 years later. They still hadn't found somebody they liked. I joined the band. Every 6 or 7 albums, if we need to or not, I mean, every 6 or 7 years, I should say, we put out an album, because Gary's busy with the band Boston. Yeah. Dave still does Sammy Hagar gigs. He's doing a couple right now for, I don't know, birthday bash, maybe he did last year, and he's doing some charity thing. Yeah. Plus Dave Lauser got married, so that took up some time. And I'm busy doing 3.2. I did a tour 2019. I already have a few shows booked for 2022, and of course Greg Kihn. So we have to find slots. We've slotted in the middle of July this year to finish up an album we've had sitting there for 5 years, half of it. Good. And maybe next year there'll be an Alliance album too. You never know.
Good. Yeah, I reviewed the Fire and Grace album with Gary on the show. Gary's another
very cool
guy. Yeah.
So you must know Khalil then at Escape Music. Yes. I'm trying to think if that's how you got a hold of Gary, because okay.
There's a lot of I know a lot of PR guys, a lot of managers for a lot of years, and it's you just know me, and they say let's call Ray. Let him do this interview. So I during the lockdown, man, I've been really busy because everybody's been at home,
So, they all haven't put out albums, but they've been writing and recording. Exactly. I'm worried about the flood that might come out now once gigs are open and stuff. You never know.
It's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Florida gigs are open. I mean, they're doing the distance thing, but Kansas was just at Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater. And it would have been sold out if they would let them, but it's every other seat or something like that.
It maybe it's by pods or something too. They do these pods where you can have up to 6 people, but you got to be in the same family or something. It's rough, but people don't realize how hard it is, because it's the ticket takers, the vendors, the ushers. It's not just the sound lights in the band that need to make a living. It's really, and the venue, the venue costs a lot of money. I have a theater here of 700 people that I do December people at in Campbell. It cost me $10,000 for the theater for the night. And that's just a 700 seat theater, so it's expensive.
People think you guys make a lot of money and everything. They have no clue about the expenses you guys have. And the bottom line at the end, when it's all said and done, that's it.
Well, I bought a really high-end copy machine, so I print my own money, so it's okay.
Send me some, will you?
I'll send you as much as you want. What do you need?
Okay. I'll take in $100 bills. Yeah.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things you do, I love, and everybody needs to know about this, is the December people. I mean, that is such a great project. People don't know about it. It's your Christmas music album set to classic rock. It is incredible, man. I still can't get over it.
It started as a progressive thing for a record company.
Right.
I did ELP, Yes, King Crimson, all using well-known holiday songs, putting them in there. John Wetton sang for me, Steve Walsh from Kansas.
Unbelievable.
It was a really successful album. And then I thought, wow, sure, for me, that's great. Having, I forget the Yes tune that I used, something off Tales of Topographic Oceans and stuff. I morphed them all together. But maybe this should be more mainstream. It should be ZZ Top. It should be Journey. It should because it's a family-friendly show, And I got to tell you, when we do Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like Thunderstruck and Back in Black, we have 9-year-old boys come to our show, 12-year-old boys. They go, I like that AC/DC one you did, right? How old are you? All the young boys and even girls, they like the classic rock stuff because they can sing the hooks.
Right.
They're not singing hip hop and stuff where it's all over the place, and they're not rapping except for the real key ones. They're singing, I'm back in black, right?
Exactly.
And it's so funny. The December People, I always say, is completely original and completely derivative all at the same time. Exactly. So how does that happen? And Stairway to Heaven, like The Night Before Christmas, or Angel with Her on High, like Don't Stop Believing. They have to fit like a glove.
Yeah.
If people want to hear something, go on YouTube, look for Silver Bells, December People. And it's Tom Petty's Running on a Dream. And you would say, when you hear that, you're going to go, wow, Tom Petty could have put that out and it still would have been the hit.
Exactly.
Because it fits like a glove. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's cool.
We got a lot of traditional Christmas songs, Johnny Mathis, Andy Williams, Tony Bennett, Sinatra. Yeah. But you get tired of those, and, you want to hear some new stuff. I just want to remind the audience. Okay, first of all, you have Sounds Like Christmas from 2000. That's one of the albums. Yeah. Rattle and Humbug. Right. DP3, Classic Rock Christmas, and Saint Nick's Pigs, which came out in 2017. Is there anything else after that last album? Or
there is. Again, we have 5 songs ready for our next album. 2020 sort of shut that down. So what we did, We Will Rock You Queen video. So it's on YouTube also. I was up on the rooftop and it turned out really good. We have the Queen, the half lit, Caramouche, all that stuff in the video. Right? It's just silly stuff. But it's a really good Christmas song or a holiday song where, can you imagine hearing another video we did was Jingle Bells, like Hot for Teacher. It's just a silly mashup, but it's a really good video and it fits like a glove. It does. When we do about 10 shows, I haven't found the right manager to put that on the map. I'm still looking if I could find the right guy that goes, oh my God, Trans-Siberian is great, but it's sort of progressive. You can't sing Trans-Siberian. You play it as background music. This stuff, people get the joke basically, and they love it. So I'm looking for that. But when people see a show, they want to see what are they going to do next? Like we did, which isn't on an album, In the Air Tonight, Phil Collins with the drum, that big drum roll in it. But we did We Three Kings. We started the show complete dark. We Three Kings with the chords, I can feel it coming in the air. And then that drum roll hit, and David Lauser had all these samples sounded just like the Phil Collins drum roll, and the lights came on, and you see people jump out of their seats, We Three Kings of Orient. It's a kick, man. It's so much fun.
These Christmas songs you can sing all year round, though. It's
definitely. Yeah. It's really it's a joy to do, and we do it for charities and stuff. So it's we'll find the right management.
I hope so.
It'll happen.
I just wanted to mention a few songs that I like. Jingle Bells in the style of Van Halen.
Yeah.
We Three Kings, Steve Walsh of Kansas. Silent Night, John Wetton singing Pink Floyd and the Us and Them type theme.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It just goes on and on. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Sounds like LaGrange from ZZ Top.
Right. right?
I love
And they're
it.
turned.
I love
They're
it.
turned inside out, so I can't get sued, but it feels and sounds like it's the real thing, you know.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Robert, anything else you need to promote or talk about?
No, you know, I like I say, I'm not much of a salesman. I just like talking to you. I remember from last time that you really were on it, and you know what you're doing. Makes it nice for me because we could talk about a bunch of stuff. You and I just talk, you know.
Yeah.
Third impression has been
I
a gift that I never thought would happen after the rules had changed. People are saying we like it better, you know, we like where you're going, and that doesn't get better than that for me because I'm already working on next year's thing. So we'll see what happens.
Is there any more music left for another one with Keith Emerson?
There will not be another. This is the last three
That's
albums. There's three in the series. That's why I'm doing the vinyl. I'm going to end it. I can't do like Steve's doing with Yes and put some other people in it. It needs to be what it was. And without Keith, I mean, Keith was live. We'd do more, you know, but I can't do without him. There's just no way.
Well, Robert, I'm going to do the salesman part now. You can purchase Robert Berry's latest release, Third Impression, at Amazon.com. It's the second 3.2 album project that is a continuation of the band 3, which featured Robert Berry, Carl Palmer, and the late, great Keith Emerson. And I'm going to mention your websites, www.robertberry.com. You're on Facebook, facebook.com/Robert Berry Music. You're on twitter.com/the Robert Berry, Instagram.com/Berry Songs. And there's a lot of videos from the new album on YouTube.
Well, you know what? You did a great job. Oh, you wanted to talk to that Robert Berry. I'm sorry. You got the wrong guy.
Robert, as always, man, you are awesome. You're an incredible musician. I love your work, and keep them coming, man. And I hope you come to Florida soon. You know, very soon, anyway.
I won't tell you. I'll shake your hand next year. Okay.
That'd be great.
We'll leave it at that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right, man. We'll see you, Robert. Take care, man.
Thanks. We'll talk again. Thank you.
Bye now. Very special thanks to John Lappin of Lappin Enterprises for arranging this interview with Robert Berry, and of course the dynamic duo of Doug and Don Newsom of BBS Radio for making the magic happen for each and every broadcast of Interviewing the Legends. If you have comments or suggestions for the show, contact me at interviewingthelegends@gmail.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Interviewing the Legends with Ray Shasho, for the very latest news into your inbox. And of course, my new book entitled The Rockstar Chronicles, Series 1, chronicles truths, confessions, and wisdom from the music legends that set us all free. Order yours today now on collector's edition, on the hardcover collector's edition, or ebook at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. It features over 45 intimate conversations with some of the greatest rock legends the world will ever know. Literary Titan gave my book 5-star rating. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on Interviewing the Legends. Peace, love, and take care, everybody. Be safe. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Interviewing the Legends. Brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call 941-877-1552 or visit us at publicityworksagency.com, specializing in author and music artist publicity plans. We shine when we make you shine. Tune in to Interviewing the Legends every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time on BBS Radio, Station 1.